We have our Port Authority Director, Rick Cotton, who has been doing a magnificent job handling the airports. JFK is one of the main airports for people coming in on those overseas flights. Rick Cotton has tested positive for the coronavirus, so he is going to be on quarantine. He'll be working at home. He's the executive director of the Port Authority, so he's been at the airports, obviously, when many people were coming back with the virus. He'll be working from home, and now the senior team that works with Rick will also be tested. So several of them may be on quarantine, and they'll be working from home. The testing, we'll go through the latest numbers. But let's also remember the context we're testing if we can. The more you test, the more positives you will find. And you are testing primarily a suspect group because we're testing people who we believe came in contact with a positive person. We want that data because we want to find out who's positive so we can isolate them and reduce the spread. But it is not a random sample. It is not statistically representative of anything. It's testing a particular universe that we believe may very well have been exposed to a positive person. So it's not statistically, I don't know what it means. I take it as good news because I want to be finding the positive so we can isolate them and we can reduce the spread. And that's what the testing is all about. So we did additional testing. We've been basically testing around the clock now. Westchester, you see, is up to 98. New York City 19, Nassau 17, Rockland 4, Saratoga 2, Suffolk 1, Ulster 1. Westchester is our problem, as you see from the numbers. That is a relatively small community in New Rochelle. 98 cases, more than the city of New York. And that makes the point about gatherings. And that's my conversation with my mother. And that's the caution flag. This communicates, transmits more easily than the flu. And in Westchester, what happened was there were a number of large gatherings, several hundred people, and it transmitted through that congregation. But this is the hot spot. One of the hot spots nationally, by the way, is the New Rochelle hotspot. So it makes the point about how it can communicate in gatherings and why people have to be careful. But those are the recent numbers, 142. With 142 cases, it puts New York, puts New York actually ahead of Washington. They just updated these numbers. California 111, Massachusetts at 28. And you can see the other national cases. Context, all these numbers, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? All day long I have people calling me up and saying, here are all these numbers, what does it mean? It means you find the positives, you reduce the spread. What is the bottom line? What does this mean? People are reacting like this is the Ebola virus. This is not the Ebola virus. This hysteria that you see, this fear that you see, the panic that you see is unwarranted. We have dealt with worse viruses. This spreads like the flu, but most people will have it and they get on with their lives. Many people will have it and not know that they have it. So we have 142 cases. Oh, 142 cases. What does that mean? Only 8 of the 142 are hospitalized. Well, how can that be? The others are at home, like they have the flu. 8 out of 142, those are people who predominantly have an underlying illness. Remember, this is basically pneumonia. When is pneumonia dangerous? When you have an underlying illness. Not just this virus, for decades. When is pneumonia problematic? When you have an underlying illness. And that's what this is. So 8 out of 142 puts it in focus and puts it in perspective. And this is the single most demonstrative fact, okay? All this hyperbole, all these opinions. What's the fact? Johns Hopkins tracks every coronavirus case since it started. What happened? 111,000 cases, 3,800 deaths, 62,000 recovered, 45,000 pending, still recovered. That's it. That's tracking every coronavirus case. It's not good that 3,800 people passed away. That's true. That is very true. By the way, 10 times that number will pass away from the flu this year. Now, people don't realize that. They don't think about it. But that's what the flu does on a seasonal basis. So a little perspective. We have to keep it all in perspective. And with that, I'll end there and take your questions. But I am a man of my word. Here is your prize. Please come on. This is a collector item. This is, you know, you can't use it. It's because it's a collector item. It's more valuable. You can sell this on eBay in about 10 years. It is not going to after 10 years, no. It's 0001. It is the first gallon container off the line. This is literally number one. And it is for you. Please come and claim your gallon. Very well done.
I haven't been here. I've been missing all this fun. And keeping it perspective, do you have any thoughts to limiting large gatherings at the Capitol, or possibly even postponing session for a couple of weeks?
There's an idea. Postpone session. Send the legislature home. Yeah. You know, this is all about reducing the spread, reducing the number of people who get it. Why? Because you want to protect the vulnerable population. That's all this is. It comes back to my mother. It comes back to the vulnerable population. And the more people have it, the more dangerous for the vulnerable population. School child, why do you close the school? School child gets it. This virus has very limited effect on children, to the best we know. But the child goes home and kisses his grandmother. The grandmother had an underlying illness. Now we have a problem. That's all this is about.